And here we go. E quibus resistans. Resistans is present participle plural. Okay, we've got a nominative, so nostrae militates. So our soldiers were trucidabanting. They were cutting down alikos, some of them, e quibus, some from whom, some from these amounts, or those people who were resisting. Ipsi. And our soldiers themselves, quoque also, in lintribuses and kimbruses, these are skiffs and boats. I don't know if you can Google pictures of them, you probably can. Per varia, in various places, I'm guessing. Discurrentes. It really means we're running about, but they're running about in boats. So you might want to say they're rushing about in various places. And captive of alios subindi. Subindi is from time to time. They were perducabanting. So from time to time our soldiers who were rushing about in some boats would bring in alios captives, some other captives. Id enumerat. For this was liberata ratio. You get liber from balancing scales. So this is a balanced reasoning that was dispositum, that was placed or set about, so that dum, while copia pedestres are footmen, infantry, so are these forces of the infantry were oppugnating or besieging or attacking the muros. These are the walls of a town. The termae, these are squadrons. Equestres means on a horse, so the cavalry squadrons were divisa. They were divided up through globos, into little globs, into smaller groups, and insistorenting, which means they're pressing forwards, taking the dative to this, looks like a gerund, to the abigendis, to the driving off of predis, which goes with the is endings. So, and by this proviso, by this, I think we have proviso in English, don't we? By this method, you might want to say, there was nullo damno, no loss of the provincials. There was, I don't know what was lost from them. Nothing was lost from them. None of their authority or something. And the miles, the soldiers, were pascabating, taking the ablative on the viscibus. This is like your entrails or the interior bits of the enemy's empire. Or they weren't literally eating they weren't cannibals, but they're eating up the resources, looks like, by taking away booty and attacking walls. 10. Yamqui, and now the imperator, the emperor, muras duplicatus, looks like the oponym is the town, so the town with its double walls was circumdatur, was surrounded by ordinine trino. Trinus is a adjective meaning in threes. So there were three orders, three rows of scutorums, of people with shields. So a town with two walls was surrounded by three lines of shield bearers in the spay, in the hope of patranding, the gerund, of completing, patrandi is completing, what was in septa, what was began, and with maximus viribus, with his maximum strength, he would oppugnabat it, he would besiege it. Said, but ut erat necessarius ad peditus, so this was necessary ad peditus, what they were seeking to do, but ita, but so thus the matter was difficilima, it's the superlative, was very difficult in its effectu, in bringing about, in effecting it, so it would be completed. And here's a reason, nam, for the accessus, these are the approaches, unique, everywhere, on every side, with the rupibus infractus socio discessus, okay, and then we have an N there. So these are craggy, broken rocks, it looks like. Socio means rather high. And flexuosus excessibus, so they was excessively flexuous, so they twisted back and forwards. So we're getting a breakdown here of these excesses. Excesses to them on all sides have big broken off craggy rocks and very excessive bending paths. And because of this, the periculum, the danger was enceps twofold or two-headed, and then denegabated, which was denying the copia, which is a means of adiunding, approaching it as going under, going up to these excesses. Maximae, especially with turrets, these are like turrets, they grow upwards or whatever you call them. And crebritate means they're frequent, and the altitude is the height. Formidane Monte Saxium. So the mountain rocks of these are formidable. That's probably another gerundive. And naturalita is just an adverb. And the naturalness of the archis, this is of the citadel or the stronghold, were equibanting the editum, the height of the natural rocks. Okay, so there's lots of things which are causing difficulty here. The high cliffs, the winding paths, the dangers denying access, and the high turrets which are very frequent and high, and formidable because they are equal to with the mountain rocks to the height of the citadel naturally, so that's the equal them in their height. And the proclivis, that must be a planities. This is a plain. Proclive means it's sloping on a hill, and the sloping flatland, so that's pretty cool. The flatland is actually sloping. Imminings, this means it's hanging over, looks like the flumen, hanging over to the river, hanging over the river. So I guess at the bottom of this slope there's a river, and it is munibatur, so it is fortified by the firmity, by the strength or solidness of the propugna columns, which are battlements. Okay, so that was 10 from there to there. Okay, so the flatlands have got a lot of battlements, and to add to this, a cedar bat. I like it when they don't start sentences with capital letters. To add to these, there was a hort levius malum. There was a not lighter evil or trouble. So there's another trouble brewing which isn't lighter or lesser, which was that the manus, this would be the band, it's greater than a handful of men. I'd say it's a large troop, maybe even. It was lector. Manus is a fourth declension female, so it was lector, means it was chosen, and copious, which means there was a lot of them in quae, those who were obsidibatering. Those are being besieged. With nullus in the lecribus, there was no luring them into a deditionem to surrender. Flecabanta, they were not able to be bent by any lure. By is probably the best ablative word there. So they could not be bent to surrender by any luring. Said tamquam, but just as if superatura they were going to prevail or devota or go over to Cineribus. They were doing it as if they were going to win or be turned into ashes, given over to ashes of their fatherland or their father city or whatever you might want to call it. This is how they were resistibating. This is how they resisted the enemy, the people they were against. Ad means towards. Okay. Iam agri retentabatur. So now with difficulty, rebatur, that's singular, it was being retained. I'd say it's because Miles is it's representing the whole group of soldiers. We're using them as a singular. Could they be retained from inferring themselves, from propelling themselves forwards. Protervius means they were insolent. So these soldiers were insolent. They maybe they were going against orders. And a pugnam, which is a battle, val, they either wanted on a equo campo on the flat plains. We have and there, qui, and they were poscans, demanding a justo battle, the right to battle or a pitched battle, and cumqui, and when Canerito, it was sounded out, a fourth declension, receptoi, this is the retreat, the going back, the recall. So when it was sounded for the recall, assidue, looks like an adverb, it means assiduously or constantly. Animosis, hostem is the enemy and the accusative. I've got a couple of verbs, urgendo conatus, urabating. So here they were burning with their trying animosis, with their trying minds, to press on towards the enemy, it looks like. It looks like a gerund. So when the call was sounded out for them in the retreat, they continually, with their minds bent on keeping on trying, they were burning in their minds to keep pressing the enemy. Vicit, so something won or prevailed. Tamen, nevertheless, the concilium, neuter. The plan of our nostrums, of our men, or would be their leaders, vincit, it conquered. These would be the leaders who were sending out the retreat. Maximum contentiation, so the concilium, the order, beat their contentions, their striving, or their the force of the men in their attacks. Remember, they wanted to infer themselves, they wanted to go forwards, but it looks like the plan to stop one, and with the divisus operibus, with the work divided up, quisque, each one with his distributed officia, each one had his own duty to perform when the work was divided up, capiscit. So each one, quisque, took his assigned duty, ocissime, rather fastly. So it looks like the leaders have won, and now the men are undertaking duties, each one in divided works. Enim, for hinc, henceforth we'll just say for now, ardui suggestus. Okay, so suggestus is a platform, or a rigabang. So they were constructing high platforms, it looks like, ardui, and inde, so from then on, and then the altitudini, usually that means height, but alta can mean high or deep. Since we have fossarum, we're talking about ditches, it's probably the depth of them. And ally, other people were conplanabanting, making something plain or flat, so they were making flat the deep depths of the ditches. So some people were erecting platforms higher, and others were flattening out deep ditches. And the latibula, these are like lairs or underground hiding places. Latibula concava, so concave means they're emptied or concave on one side, so it's like a caverns, terrarum of the earth, were being strubanted, constructed, alibi in other places, with oblongus tramorbites. Tramorbites are pathways, even they can be narrow or small. Oblong probably means rectangular. Okay, so here's what's going on. Platforms are being built, ditches are being complainated, they've been flattened, and under the ground we've got some pathways being constructed, and locabanta, someone's being placed or ordered or paid to do it. Artificers tormenta murialis, so torment engines that belong on walls. Some artifacts are building in funestos sonatus. A sonatus is a sound, and pro ruptura, should probably be a comma or a full stop or something there, and then part 3. So we've now got siege engines being are built, which will produce deadly sounds or something when they throw things forwards. 13. And the cuniculos, the rabbit burrows, the tunnelling, quidem indeed, with the vineyards. These are the sheds. I guess they're created from vines, maybe. I've seen pictures of them. They use these sheds as protection as when they advance. So it looks like someone called Navita and Dagliafius were taking care of it, the curabanting. They were taking care of the rabbit hole tunnels that they were burrowing in the vineyards. And autem, moreover, the inundus conflict, and upon going into the conflict, inundus means entering into the conflict, that's looks like the beginning of the conflict when two sides come together, and the defenders, and in the defending from incendio, from fire, and from eruptions, which are sallies that burst forth. The imperator, who's the emperor, he was praerat, he was in charge, and that's probably why they're in this dative ablative form, because praerat takes the dative. And machines. Machines are pretty much the same in English. So these two guys are in charge of the tunnels and the vineyards, and the emperor is in charge of starting the conflict and defending from fires and bursting out with machines. So, okay, nearly done. Okay, so I'll make a daily dictionary of Sergestus, fourth declension we saw earlier, top 20,000 words, platform, or it can just be a raised surface in general. So, nearly done. Cumque, and when apparatu omne, so with all the apparatus for exscinding, we have probably incendia, means more than burning, for destroying of the city. We've got some more ablative. Labor multiplici consummato. So with the manifold labour, the many types of work used was consummato, was finished, and all the apparatus were in place for the destruction of the city. A pugna, which means the fight was flagrate, it was demanded. So when, subjunctive infinitive of when you get an infinitive, you just add, for an imperfect, you add ter on the end. So the battle was demanded. Dux is the general by the nomine, by the name Victor. I guess he's going to win. He has reverse assessed. He's come back, and as far as Ctesiphonta, he has exploratus the itinerus. So he's explored the roads as far as Ctesiphonta, and he's reversed. He's come back. No obstacles. So he's present participle. He's nuntians. He's announcing there are no obstacles that he's offendicide, that he's come across. Okay, 14. So all the militaries, all the soldiers were with Gaudio. They were rejoicing at this news which was ferreted, which was borne to them by this carrying of the news, and they were elated. They were elated with fermoribus animus, with stronger hearts or minds, and they were operiobanting, and they were waiting for the signal. Armata means they were armed, ready for the contest, the curtandum. And that's it for today.